Hey guys, this is David from theunlocker.com, and today we're doing a quick walkthrough of HTC's new Android user interface called Sense 3.0. So you may or may not be familiar with HTC's custom UI that they put on top of the majority of their Android devices called HTC Sense. Basically, as with most manufacturers, they take advantage of Android's open approach to the operating system and put in their own apps, widgets, and even framework to try and differentiate their Android devices versus their competitors. HTC just sort of takes this concept a bit further than most, and that is never more true than with their latest iteration dubbed Sense 3.0. With Sense 3.0, HTC is getting pretty close to almost making Android their own operating system. They've replaced most of the basic stock apps save for the Market, Gmail, and Google Maps, probably because Google doesn't make those apps' code public like the rest of Android, since Google considers those apps their quote-unquote Google apps. I'm willing to bet that if they could, they'd have made their own versions of those apps as well. On top of that, they've added tons of widgets, changed the launcher, notification bar, and added some additional features and apps. So let's not waste any more time and get right into it. First up, let's talk about the lock screen. HTC wanted to not only be a little different, but also to add some functionality to the otherwise simple lock screen. To make it different, they added a ring that you have to pull into the center in order to unlock the screen instead of just swiping in a direction. Also, they added 4 customizable shortcuts that when you hold down on them and you drag them into the ring, it automatically launches that app directly from the lock screen. Next up is the notification bar, which not only added a tab for all of your frequent settings so that you can turn them on and off easily, but also added a section up here at the top for your most frequent apps. Then there's the launcher. They've replaced the normal launcher at the bottom with a button to launch your apps, a large phone button in the center, and one to launch your personalization options. Speaking of which, here we have scenes. Scenes allow you to set up your home screen with whatever widgets and app shortcuts you want, and then save them collectively as a scene. On top of that, you can use some of the preset ones that were set by HTC and even download new ones from them as well, but we'll get to that a bit later. Next we have skins. Skins are pretty simple. They're basically themes for the highlight colors and notification bubble colors throughout the operating system. After that, we come to sound sets. These are pretty much self-explanatory, I think, but basically they're sets of sounds. For example, things like ringtones, notification sounds, email sounds, messaging sounds that you can switch between. They're basically a set of all of those things chosen to go together or whatever in one set, and then you can just easily choose between the different sets to change all of those things at once. Finally, we have wallpapers. Basically, you know what these are. They change your background. Only difference here is that HTC has added some of their own into the mix. So we have your HTC backgrounds. We also have HTC Live wallpapers. My favorite of which being the weather one. And this one changes according to, well, the weather. HTC has also replaced pretty much all of the stock apps with their own versions, most of which are minimally tinkered with, but a few of them have some pretty decent changes in them. And one of those apps is the People or Contacts app, which automatically syncs with your Facebook account and your Twitter account. It can grab your Facebook statuses of all your friends, your Twitter updates, and even take their Twitter or Facebook picture and put it and make it their contact picture in your phone book. You can even click on one of your contacts and be brought to your normal contact information, text message them, call them, etc. But you also have their Facebook profile here, which has their latest status. And if you slide along the bottom here, you can go to their messages, which is all of the messages that you guys have shared between you and that one contact. Mail, same thing. Updates and events, which will show all of their latest Facebook or Twitter status updates and any events that they've set on Facebook, etc. Then over here we have their albums. So this is all the pictures they either have on Picasa or on Facebook. And the cool thing about this is that you can click on one of these albums and it'll actually display the pictures as if they're on your phone. So the same way you look at the gallery on your own phone, you can click on any of these pictures and swipe left and right to go through them. And finally, you can scroll to call history, which just shows you all of their phone calls that you guys have had, missed, etc. This kind of shows how HTC has taken some of these stock applications on the phone and improved them, made them a little more productive, and this is just one example. For all of the stock app changes, check out our highlights list underneath this video on our site. Besides the stock apps being retweaked, HTC has added a few apps from their own programming team and partners. The three biggest of which are the HTC Hub, Watch, and Listen. All three of these are basically HTC's own content stores where you can download and or purchase songs, movies, and even scenes, wallpapers, skins, etc. I call these the biggest simply because this is quite a big step for HTC. It's an entirely new revenue stream for them, both from purchases and from ad revenue gained by possibly putting certain content in featured or premiere sections of their own stores that the user might notice more. My huge question, of course, is when or will they ever let developers into their little markets? Let people sell and distribute their own custom wallpapers, scenes, etc. For a list of all the app additions, check out just below this video on our site. And if that all wasn't enough, HTC has, of course, brought a bevy of gorgeous widgets to the party, as they always have with their Sense UIs. Some of the newer ones are the new People widgets, like this one, that shows you each contact's last activity, My Shelf, which shows your books, and Watch, which is a widget for their movie store. Again, to see all of the widgets added to Android by HTC, head to the highlights section just underneath this video on our site. Whew. And there you have it, HTC's latest operating system, user interface, of course. And seeing all that HTC has changed, it makes me wonder slightly. You think Google originally intended for this level of customization from the manufacturers all along? Let Android in the market be the base with one code for development and let the manufacturers basically create their own operating system experience? Or is HTC just taking it as far as they possibly can and Google's just sitting back in awe?